Where did you go to university and what did you study?
Yeah, so that's an interesting story. I actually took 2 gap years before university. And so instead of going straight to university, this dude, an old friend, like comes into my high school, senior year high school class, was one of my favorite teachers, who was one of the really funny ones. And he's like, he comes to talk about this program he was doing in Boston. He's like, I moved to inner city Boston, and this is a kid that was into University of North Carolina, was accepted to a very selective, very excellent university in my state. He instead opted to go to inner city Boston and live on food stamps. Like he was living on, like he wasn't making enough money to actually like live there without government assistance. And he was like working after school programs with inner city youth. And he just came and talked about that. He's like, I'm doing this program, I'm doing this instead of going straight to college. And that day I was like, I'm not going straight to college. Like I'm gonna go do what he did. And so I decided that I was going to pursue that. I pursued that program that he talked about explicitly. It didn't have the availability I wanted, so I ended up actually living in Costa Rica as an 18-year-old. I moved to Costa Rica and I taught English in this tiny village. And I was so ignorant of Costa Rica and anything Central American geography-wise, I thought I was going to an island. I did not even realize that it was part of a continent. I was just like, I showed up there. The first day they put me in a homestay family to where I was going to teach, and I like literally couldn't understand a word. A word folks were saying to me. And I had taken 4 years of Spanish in high school, and I was like, how's this going to work? So the next day I was in a classroom teaching 2nd through 6th graders, and I was like, huh. And the kids were asking me stuff, and I had no idea what they were asking. I was just like, they were asking to use the bathroom, but they were saying, I knew bathroom was baño. Like, why aren't they asking baño? They were just saying, con permiso. And I was like, what does that mean? And they're like, con permiso, dude. I just started saying, sí. Like, sí. All right, yes. And then then they come back 5 minutes later. I'm like, oh, they're asking for permission to go to the bathroom. So I have lots of stories like that. That was like, as an 18-year-old, that was my first teaching experience. I lived on the top of a mountain in a coffee farming village, and there were no books in the school, and there was just this tiny school on top of a mountain. And so I lived with a family there and taught for 3 months, and that forever changed my life. Then I went and lived in New Zealand and worked at a conservation trust and killed a lot of possums.
Where in New Zealand? Because I lived in New Zealand also, and I'm half Kiwi. I got my dual citizenship.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, so I'm just curious where you were.
On the North Island, Thames.
Thames, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so on the Coromandel Peninsula.
Nice.
So it killed a lot. I have a lot of possum blood on my hands.
That's okay. You're forgiven.
Yeah,
it's for the better of all nature.
I know, yeah. It was a weird conservation, experience for me, because I was like, I love nature. And then I go to New Zealand and they're like, what conservation work is here? It's like killing all the things that came here that are invasive species. And I was like, oh, I don't know how to feel about all this. So that was an interesting experience. So those 2 seminal experiences led me to say, oh, I want to be in education, because I had such a good time teaching once I figured out how to speak Spanish. and then was just loving living in nature, dominated by nature at this conservation trust in New Zealand. So I became an outdoor educator the following year in Texas.